Welcome to the Machzikei newscast, keeping Ottawa smiling one show at a time, with your hosts, Rabbi Scher and Dr. Stacy Goldstein. Welcome to Laugh, Love, Life.
Thank you so much. The first segment of our show is called A Laugh, and we're going to do everything we can to make you laugh, to bring you a little bit of joy at this challenging time. I'd like to start with telling you a story I heard this week, a story about Yussel, a young man. He comes home from school one day and he's extremely excited. He runs into the house and he says, "Mom, guess what? I got cast in the school play this year." The mom says, "That's wonderful, son. What part are you playing?" He says, "I got cast as the Jewish husband." The mom scowls and says, "You march right back to school and tell your teacher that you want a speaking part." Speaking of speaking parts, I'd like to introduce our first guest, our debut comedic act. Co-hosts of a well-known talk show, Brunch with Bruce and Bonnie. Without further ado, wonderful members of our community, an amazing couple, Bruce and Bonnie Engel.
So a Jewish immigrant comes to Canada and he's taking some adult English classes. He's in front of the class and the professor says to the class, "Does anybody know what the word cultivate means?" And this Jewish man raises his hand and he says, "I do." So the teacher says, "Okay, can you use that in a sentence?" And the man says, "Of course. I was at the bus stop, but it was to cultivate." Get it? That joke was told to me by my dear, dear, dear late father, Gordon Breiner.
Old lady gets stopped for speeding on the highway going like 100 kilometers over the limit. Officer approaches her and says, "Ma'am, I'm stopping you for speeding." She goes, "I wasn't speeding." He goes, "Ma'am, you were speeding. Could I have your license?" She goes, "I don't have a license." He goes, "Could I have the registration to your vehicle?" She goes, "Well, I don't own this car. I stole it." She goes, "Who owns the vehicle?" "Well, the guy who owns it, I kidnapped and I put his body in the trunk." So she goes, "Ma'am, sit right there. I'm going to get my supervisor." Supervisor shows up, checks the trunk, nothing in the trunk. Goes up to the woman, says, "Ma'am, my officer says that you don't have a license, you stole this vehicle, and you kidnapped the owner and put him in your trunk. But I checked the trunk and nobody's in there." She says, "Yeah, I bet she told you I was speeding too."
Thank you so much, Bruce and Bonnie. The next segment of our show is called Love. I am going to show you something that I saw this week that I absolutely loved. Something that brought some warmth to my heart, and I hope will bring some warmth to yours as well. This week I was on the Zoom AGM, Annual General Meeting for the Jewish Federation of Ottawa. And David and Sharon, for the first time in Jewish Ottawa history, received the Shem Tov Award together as a couple. Aww. David and Sharon are pillars of our community, and the Shem Tov Award honors them for that. Anyone that knows these two individuals, individually and as a couple, knows that they do more for our community than almost anyone else we know. A huge mazel tov, yasher koach, and thank you for all that you do. I now like to turn it over to our light correspondent, Dr. Stacy Goldstein.
Thank you, Rabbi Scher, and welcome to this week's segment of Light, an opportunity for friends to share how they prepare for the wonderful occasion of Shabbat. This week's featured guests are members of the Breiner family. Stay tuned to the end to hear candle lighting times.
Shabbat Shalom!
Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3.
Amen.
Shabbat Shalom!
Shabbat Shalom! This week, July 19th, Parshat Shalach, candle lighting time is after 7:20 p.m., but before 8:33 p.m., Shabbat Shalom.
We hope we brought a little more laughter, a little more love, and a little more light into your lives. From your friends at Machzikei Hadas, Shabbat Shalom.
We'll say good Shabbos cause we've waited all week long. No, we wish you could shot us, yeah. Yes, we can. 25 hours, don't make no plans. Challah, children, man, I said it's one in my kiddish cup. All that I need is this one day, that's what's up. It's an ancient concept, our Torah talking about what God said. I've been waiting for this all week long. How many matzo balls you want? Yeah, I got the Shabbos spirit, I feel it so